So please join me in welcoming to the stage Matthias Kroner. Matthias.
Hi guys, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm just coming from an HR meeting. You know, we spoke about integration. No, easy. Actually, what I'm going to talk about to you today is my experience of more than 25 years in this innovation space, in which I really experienced how incumbents and innovation companies are cooperating and collaborating and fighting and having good days and bad days, as it is totally normal. And this is what I'm sharing. What is my experience based on? I founded 2 banks, I co-founded 2 banks, and some more actually. I did at least one IPO in the late 90s with DAB, 47 times oversubscribed, headed by Goldman Sachs. I did one trade sale with Fidor. I acquired more than €500 million for capital increases. Tons of roadshows, investment talks, regulatory talks, shareholder meetings, many ways of, getting skinned by my audience. What I'm talking about today is definitely not only and not exclusively about my Fidor experience. This is not what I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to talk about today is my experience all over the industry, is my experience over those 25 years, is my observations including and what I think are the critical components actually of the innovation, of the cooperation of innovative companies with incumbent companies. And let me spoiler one thing, there is no easy way. And there's no easy solution. So if you wait for the easy solution at the end of my presentation, I might disappoint you. So, the perfect storm is arising for the incumbents. We all know this story. We talk about new technologies, data, AI, machine learning. We talk about new customer behavior. We talk about increasing regulation. We see behavioral change in the customer side. We see the adoption of technology and so on. We see a lot of incumbents at the same time that think all this is not happening. I had a presentation 10 days ago in Frankfurt with what I always call the gray-faced bankers, and they've been sitting in there talking to the representative of the BaFin actually and saying, listen, can you protect us more or less from those incumbents, from these innovation companies? Can you make it that they have exactly the same inconvenient account opening that we have? Well, that's a way of tackling the whole thing, right? So there we see what the problem is. Those incumbents are actually in the life cycle on the very, very late end now. Okay, so they have a history of maybe 100 years. They think they exist forever. Let me tell you, 100 years is not forever. Okay, mankind is existing for way longer. They have the challenge to rethink their business. They have the challenge to position themselves or to die. One example, I had a presentation, I listened to a presentation, it was very painful for me because that guy told me, yeah, we are so successful in our digital conversion for the whole organization. We are so successful with our digital product. We need baskets to carry away the account applications. Find the mistake. We need baskets to carry away the account applications. If you're truly digital, you don't need a basket for that. So cultural disadvantages. What is the innovation company? The innovation company is on the bottom left. This company is driven by entrepreneurship, this company is driven by creativity, by constructive chaos, by opportunistic decisions, and so on. We need to survive. This is more or less the status this company is in. We need to survive. We had a great idea. Maybe that was naive. We need to survive. Maybe we need to change the strategy. And this is again then the startup euphoria we can witness here as well. So we are first of all solution-centric. We started a customer problem. However, professional skills need to be developed, right? It might be definitely the case that a startup company is compensating its professionals not existing of skills by enthusiasm and by motivation. And of course we are revenue hungry and equity hungry at the end of the day, and this will change our strategies frequently. Facing that situation, this is the conflict. How can I risk taking entrepreneurial startup guy who's fully having the skin in the game, as to say, actually collaborate and cooperate with a manager that is on the total other side of the life cycle of a company and to the consequent culture of that company. So what are the options? Kiss, marry, or kill. Having it again? So, option number one for the incumbent is Bert the Turtle. Anybody of you knowing this? It's the duck and cover videos. Look it up on YouTube. That was in the 50s, the duck and cover videos. What happens in a nuke strike, actually, when the Russians attack you in the US, what can you do? Duck and cover. That was a video. So that means you had a table, you duck and cover, and then everything is fine with the nuke attack. That is the behavior. That was recommended to people in the 50s. So that means there is no impact by digital development, no risk, we are in a safe niche, famous last words, right? No risk, we are in the safe niche, and something like the branch is king. Seriously? This is what we in German would say, that's the whistling in the forest because you're afraid, you know? So this is option number one. Option number two is you are the copycat. Another presentation I witnessed to a banker is saying, we are not acquiring fintechs because they are too expensive. Fair point. He also said, we look at their concepts and we copy that. Much cheaper. Fair point. I really admired his braveness to admit that. You know, I was very happy to listen to this. And actually, in the same time, you only will be a follower. You only will be as good as your surrounding. You never will be better. You never will have a unique selling proposition. You know, it's always second best. Third option, I love that. You create a lab. We have in our organization now a lab, right? So, yes, I admire you take little first risk, you do something, it's at least better than duck and cover, I would say. On the other side, first of all, the lab is a cool office. I like that. The lab needs to be in a cool environment, it's brick buildings, you have the bicycle on the wall, you have... Why should I put my bike on the wall? Tell me, you know, it's very stressful every morning. You have a table tennis. I've never seen somebody play, by the way. And whenever I show up and want to play table football, nobody plays against me because I'm pretty good. Mr. Hüftlein, can you confirm this? I'm pretty good in football, actually.
He's unbeatable.
Unbeatable. You know, we always had a game about the pricing. We improved that. I was 8 years in boarding school and we had table football there, you know. So, and what is the return? Always you will have the question, what is the return? Because there is somebody in the organization saying, yeah, this lab costs us a lot of money. Where's the return? You know, what is happening there? They're only sitting around and doing crazy stuff. What is happening there? The next version to this is Greenfield. Any one of you knowing that game actually? Who's a father of a mother of a 10-year-old, something, you know? Find out. So the Greenfield is an outside organization, so I would say it's the advanced approach of the lab itself, okay? So yes, outside the incumbent, maybe to protect the culture a bit better, but who is in there? Whom can you find for that? Because it's dependent on the incumbent, but you want to have innovation-centric people. This is not really working. Because if I go in there, I want to have skin in the game. How can I make that, right? It's an incumbent organization. How to have skin in the game at the incumbent. And finally, it will, I would say, end up the same way like the lab. Because within the next cost-cutting round, you're out. The next controller comes along and says, listen, we have a crisis. Oh, by the way, the lab, yes, thank you. Woof, whack, gone. You know? So this will be it. Partner, we just heard about it. How can you partner? Killed by procurement. I love what Roland said. Procurement is just doing his job. I'm not saying anything wrong with that, but procurement takes its time. Procurement is more or less like an due diligence, right? So you need to document your processes, you need to document kind of your technology, kind of everything. And a normal startup organization, I would expect not to be ready for that. Seriously, not to be ready for that. And it takes ages. And you're revenue hungry, as I said, you're equity hungry, and it takes ages, means it equals insolvency. So I really foresee that a lot of those companies are actually dying while winning the first customers. That's very, very dangerous. Okay? Premature organizations does not help actually. And is it really culturally protecting? No, it isn't, because once this incumbent company for the first time makes an audit on you, because they will have the right to do so, you will face those discussions as well. Or you get acquired. So what is the reason for being acquired? Is this incumbent organization just shooting another trophy because they don't have that in the trophy cupboard so far? We are missing a fintech. Can realize there's something missing, a fintech. Okay, yeah, let's look for some. So that might be a motivation, believe it or not. Is the incumbent organization ready for such a transaction? Is the innovation company ready for such a transaction? Is the innovation management ready to be part in future of a kind of reporting line, of more standardized meetings, of writing minutes, in particular read minutes, and so on and so forth? Are you ready on that end? I would say this will be a new experience. And at the end of the day, do you speak the same language? Can you manage to speak the same language? So summarizing all this, there's a certain bias on the picture, right? Have a look if you find out. So bridging that, what's the shareholder expectation? On the innovator side, it's I want to have a return of 7, 10, 15, whatsoever. You must be a unicorn. This is my expectation, okay? On the incumbent side, it's dividends. How is dividend working along with value increase? It's not really working. Otherwise you're maybe in drug dealing or whatsoever. Then it can work. Normally, as long as you need to invest in technology, this is killing the dividend, but it might increase the value. If the other one is expecting dividends, this is not working. Okay, so you better be clear. You better be clear about it, sorry. Risk culture. The one is avoiding risk. The other one is risk having as a second first name. You know, my name is risk taker. And then you meet Mr. Risk Avoider. How you want to speak together? This is, oh, Mrs. Value creation. Of course, the fintech guy is saying the value is created on my level. The incumbent, who is now a majority shareholder or whatever kind of a shareholder, is saying the value is created on my level. Guys, this might be two totally different strategies. Two totally different strategies, all right? Decision making at the innovator side may be more kind of chaotic and quick. You know, we need to move quick. The whole market is moving quickly. We are all living totally paranoid. On the incumbent side, it's, well, first of all, I need to understand the environment, all right? So this is the incumbent side. Leadership style, entrepreneurial on the one side, the other ones are managers. What is the difference? Skin in the game. Is anybody on the management side having skin in the game? I can lose my bonus and the rest is OPM, other people's money. Okay? This is different than having all in bootstrapped. I lended money from my family to found that business. This is different. Okay? The one is nervous, the other one is relaxed at the end of the day. Politics, high versus maybe low, but to be honest, you're in a startup, you can have politics as well. As soon as you are more than one people in one company, you have politics. Some make it with themselves, all right? But normally you need to. Attitude, opportunistic, maybe dogmatic on the one side. Dogmatism you need to afford. Whenever you want to be strategically dogmatic, you need to have the money to do so. If you cannot afford it, you need to be opportunistic. As easy as that, right? And what is the vision? On the incumbent side, I'm in pension in 3 years. On the innovator side, I'm a billionaire in 3 years. This is the vision. How to match that? How to match that? So what are the learnings, innovation culture, disruption versus cannibalization? I'm afraid of cannibalization. By the way, startup guys, whenever you hear the word cannibalization, take everything and run, right? That's it. Don't worry, they will not eat you. However, talking about eating, there's one golden rule. Have it in mind. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Very important. And you will not find the time to be always at the table, all right? So how to make that a nice ending? How to come to a maybe as nice as possible future, actually. Of course, within a transaction, be assured that there is a cultural due diligence. I hardly see any M&A transaction having a cultural or HR due diligence. I even did see transactions in which the acquiring party did not even speak to the team. Guys, this is not working. Or you give a damn about the team, then it's part of the system, but however, don't expect that to be a smooth transaction. So a cultural due diligence is needed, clear vision sharing, What are the targets? Precisely, what are the targets? But also, believe me, paper is patient, as we say, right? So what are the targets? Get measured on that, have a clear understanding what the cultural collaboration is looking like. And in particular, also on the startup side, challenge your own organization. Do me one favor, don't you think that your startup organization is somewhat perfect? And I would say also be a bit humble and also understand that no, you do not need to tell everybody that you now conquer the world and everybody else before was simply stupid. This is not the case. All right? So I think it's clearly needed that both ends are actually working together and getting this understanding. I'm therefore very happy that I'm joining the supervisory board of an HR company also, because really sharing my knowledge into this direction. At the end of the day, I really, and believe me, thought it like and discussed that many times. What is the best way of succeeding is really making that incumbent change fully. And I do see some examples globally. I had a meeting with a board in Asia, and they converted the incumbent bank within 3 years to 100% into a digital organization. I think this is the only way at the end of the day to be at least as having less trouble as possible. Because as long, and that's the final sentence, as long as you have one kind of cell or one kind of bacteria of resistance to the conversion in your organization, it will not work, because this is exactly that person that shows up the moment some mistake will happen. And as Roland said, there will be a mistake happening. That moment, this person shows up and will say the one and only killing sentence, "I could have told you." You know, and as long as this culture is around, you will not succeed in this. So you need to do a full conversion and a full change in your culture. And I do. Thank you so much. Pick up the discussion with me on those social media channels. Thank you for your attention. Andrew?